What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to go over whether it is still worth it to buy a GT350 in 2025. And full disclaimer, this is going to be just my opinion because, I am a little bit biased. I have a GT350. I've went through the ups and downs of the GT350 platform. And, I think I can judge pretty well whether it's worth it or not, at least to me. You guys at the end still have to make up your own opinion. I appreciate you guys tuning back into this video. If you like this kind of content, please hit the like button, comment underneath, subscribe to the channel. It would really mean the world to me to continue to grow this and to get, a larger following so I can continue to do this. To really understand whether you should buy a GT350 in 2025, I will give you a little bit of a background of why I purchased this car, what it means to me, and what I would do today. So I think we'll go over these things. So I'll give you a little bit of a background. I purchased my GT350 at the end of 2021. It was right around Christmas time. I moved from Germany to the US and I knew I wanted a GT350. I was in the market for a Mustang in general. I wanted something that was very capable, affordable, and the capability was really important to me in terms of I wanted something fast, but I wanted something that can turn. I don't care for straight line racing. I don't care for being the fastest in a straight line. So you can throw 800 or 1,000 horsepower at me. I don't really care too much if the car can handle. So when I say handle, I'm talking about having a good suspension setup, being able to eventually run on the track because I want to take the car on the track one day. And I want to be able to do some mountain runs. I want to go to the tail of the dragon, which I've taken this car 2 times already. And I just wanted something that was very capable. So looking at the Mustangs, I was looking at performance packs, I was looking at the Mach 1, and I was actually pretty close to ordering a brand new Mach 1 because I couldn't get a brand new GT350 anymore. Because at the end of 2021, there was no brand new GT350s because they only made them until 2020. So here I was looking at a Mach 1, but really wanting the GT350. And that brings me to why do you get a GT350? First of all, the capability. Second of all, just having a car that just looks really, really good. It's very affordable at the same time for what it does. And, if you put a GT350 next to a GT, you can tell the differences. I mean, yes, people are going to say it's still just a Mustang. Yes, it's still just that. But, the GT350 is very capable and it just looks freaking amazing. Just from factory, they did an amazing job with the wider body and, just the stance. It just has a road presence. And we can argue on that if you want to, but I have my certain opinion. I'm a Mustang guy, and I love the GT350. So for me, that was one big thing. The other thing being, I knew if I were to purchase a Mach 1, and nothing wrong with the Mach 1, but if I put it next to a GT350, I'd always drool over the GT350. So why would I, spend $63,000 for a Mach 1 when I could get a GT350 for a similar price? Yes, with a few miles on it, but in the end, it really didn't matter that much, right? So I decided I wanted a GT350 over a Mach 1 by the looks and also by the performance aspect, because yes, while you do get the option of having the 6-speed Tremec in a Mach 1, I, obviously have that in the GT350 as well, but you have the Coyote 5.0 versus the Voodoo 5.2, and that is being one of the main topics I want to touch on, the Voodoo. I mean, the engine is something that is so unique on this car. It's something so special, for trying to build a very, very cool platform with the Voodoo 5.2 flat plane crank. That is something we know more so from Ferrari. The flat plane crankshaft, just phenomenal sounds. But on a V8 from America, which is completely different and also sounds completely different. It doesn't sound like a Ferrari, but it doesn't sound like a regular V8. So it just has this very distinctive sound that some people actually don't like it, which is crazy to me, but I absolutely love it. So that's why I chose to go with the GT350. That exhaust note just from factory, absolutely phenomenal. So the point being, looks, capability, and man, that sound. So those were my main reasons of why I wanted a GT350. So I ended up buying that car, and I fell in love from the first time I drove one. I mean, go out there and test drive a GT350 and try to not buy it. Good luck. So to me, that was the reasoning, and that's the background story of why I purchased this car and how I purchased it. And so now I can say I've had this car for close to 4 years. It's October right now, and I bought it in December, so we're coming up to 4 years. And man, it's been a ride. I love this car to death, and you can't really, you can throw a lot of numbers at me, but I don't think I would sell it. Like, it would have to be a really, really stupid number for me to even consider it, because not only has this car given me, a platform like YouTube, Instagram, I've been able to just make so many friends through this car, which I don't know where I would be if I didn't have this car. And it's just opened so many doors for me. And that's, completely outside of what I wanted to do with this car, because I never planned to have an Instagram or whatever for the car. It just kind of happened, and I started doing this. And, that's another story. If you guys are interested in how I started, my social media career or whatever you want to call it, it's still just a side hustle. But if you guys are interested in hearing more about that, let me know in the comment sections below, and I'll give you a full explanation of how this started, how I struggled through it, and how I got to the point where I am right now. But yes, this is my backstory on the GT350. So let me do the quick math. I've had this car for around 4 years, and I put, I think, about 22,000 miles on it, maybe a little bit more. And man, it's been so fun. This car is so fun. I've taken it to the Tail of the Dragon twice, driven it to Charlotte twice, one time for the 60th anniversary of the Mustang and one time for the RTR celebration of James Dean's 2024 Formula Drift Championship. Well, that was a mouthful, but I drive this car. I love to drive it a lot, and I love to put miles on it. And I'm not afraid to put miles on it. However, we got to talk about the engine, because we all know this car has a very specific and very special engine that has caused some trouble. And I always want to say, like, it's blown a little bit out of proportion, because I believe they have built about 25,000 of these engines or these cars. So 25,000 GT350s were built, and there has just been a lot of social media attention on this topic of those engines blowing up, because yeah, I mean, in general, like, engines can blow up, it happens, but it happens fairly frequent on this platform. So that being said, it's definitely something that you have to consider when you purchase this vehicle. It's a race car. It's not your regular 5.0. I have one right here, and I absolutely love it. So if you look at the engine, it's a 5.2 liter. It's a flat plane crank. It revs to 8250. This car is designed to go on a racetrack. This is not your daily grocery getter. And yes, a lot of people do that with their GT350s, and that's totally fine. As I said, I love to drive this car. I put 22,000 miles on it so far. So it has like 34,000 on the clock now. But that being said, it's not going to outlive your GT. I can promise you that. The engine platform is fairly new compared to the 5.0. The Voodoo is just something that has not had as much, feedback loops as the Coyote has. And that being said, you have to live with the fact that this engine is going to die at some point. Whether that's at 30,000, whether that's at 40,000, whether that's at 80,000. There's a few vehicles out there that I've heard of that are like at 70, 80, 90,000 miles, but they're fairly rare. And there is this stigma, or I guess this rumor around that the Gen 2 is basically bulletproof. You know, we're talking about Gen 1s and Gen 2s of the Voodoo, and the Voodoo was built, I think they built the first vehicles in 2015, but they more so 2016. And they built the Gen 1 from 2016 until 2018, and then in 2019, which this is a 2019, they started with the Gen 2s and followed through 2020. And a lot of people believe that the Gen 1s were the ones that are making some issues, and the Gen 2s are completely bulletproof. And I can already tell you that this is not true, because mine's a Gen 2 and blew up. So we also have to define what means blowing up, you know. It's not like your engine's blowing up and there's flames everywhere and the hood pops open or something. No, that's not what it means. It just means that your engine's basically crap. I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight of what happened to my car. I was driving mine, just getting some groceries. And on my way back from the grocery store, I got some failure messages and I got a check engine light. So obviously with a Voodoo, you're a little bit afraid of getting a check engine light, and you're very aware of these kind of issues. So I had some misfire issues, and I could, you know, put the codes in the description. I'll just have to look them up, but it was like a P300 something code, so I had some misfires. So then I dropped off my car at home, and a buddy of mine and myself, we were checking for some spark plugs. Everything seemed fine. I was thinking maybe I had some bad fuel or something. At least that's what I was hoping for. But then also we kind of ruled all of these things out and came to the conclusion of we should do a compression test, which then came back negative on cylinder 8. But when I had the car towed to the Ford dealership and they checked the specific cylinders, they found that on cylinder 8, the piston was basically eating away on the block. You could see that there was quite some damage on the internals of the engine. And they called it, I believe, piston skirt failure. So it was basically the piston skirts on the piston started failing and ate away on the block. However, that was, I guess, the diagnosis, and if you've done your research, you know that these engines are freaking expensive. They don't sell any short blocks, so you have to buy a long block, meaning you have to basically buy a full engine. And I believe they're about like 18, 19 grand just for the long block, but that's all without the labor, so they obviously have to take the old engine out, they have to transfer a bunch of parts over to the new engine, and then put the new engine back into the car. So that's a lot of work, and it costs a lot of money. I would have to look up the specifics, but the number that's stuck in my head is 25 grand. So if you're considering buying a GT350, you always have to have that in mind. An engine is super expensive, and I'm not saying that your GT350 is going to blow up. It's not that you can predict that. Some are super solid, some just aren't. And I think with these engines, it's just a matter of time, because they are all not going to outlive a regular GT engine. That's just a matter of fact, but they are so much more enjoyable than a GT engine. So we talked about why you would want a GT350. We've talked about my story with the GT350, and now I guess the big question is, what other options do you have? So we ruled out the Mach 1 against the GT350. The GT500 is more expensive, and it doesn't come in a manual. It is heavy, so it really doesn't give you the same experience as a GT350. Also doesn't come in a flat plane crank. So then we only have the Dark Horse to compare it to. The Dark Horse, amazing platform. I think it is very valid that there is that option. It just doesn't have the soul of a GT350. I think that's the best way to put it. It sounds good, but it's still a Coyote. It has a Tremec transmission. It is kind of the new age Mach 1, just with a fancy badge on it, because it has less horsepower than this. It doesn't sound like this, and is not as wide as this. So the presence of the GT350 is still superior. And the GTD is way out of reach. So there's nothing really comparable at this point in time. And even though this platform has been around for about 10 years now, this is still a very valid option. So I guess we come to the final verdict. Should you buy a GT350 in 2025, 2026? And my answer is 100% yes. I think this car is just absolutely phenomenal, and with all the problems that it has caused over the years with broken engines, whatnot, I think it's blown out of proportion. It can happen. It doesn't happen to everybody. It's a very expensive fix, so make sure you have some warranty or some extra cash so you can cover that replacement if necessary. Hopefully it's not necessary, but we've learned that these engines are just not as sturdy as the Coyote engines. So keep that in mind when you purchase one. Please do yourself a favor and don't end up in a situation where you either have to sell the car or you have to pick up another job or something to pay for a new engine. So I really hope this video helped you guys figure out whether a GT350 is the right car for yourself. And if you got any additional questions, please drop them in the comment section below. I'd love to have a conversation and help you guys. I can only speak from my experience because, you know, there's people out there that have put 70, 80, 90,000 miles on these cars without any issues, and it's good for them. I hope that my second engine will do that too, but my first one hasn't, and I'm a little bitter about it. So, however, if I were to crash my car anytime, I'm gonna be knocking on some wood here. If I were to break my car at any point, I would definitely buy another GT350. I think this car is absolutely phenomenal. It's given me so many opportunities. It's given me so many friendships throughout the years, and I wouldn't want to miss it for the world. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you like this kind of content, please hit the like button, comment in the comment section below, and please subscribe to the channel so we can continue to grow together. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay loud.